Hello everyone, Salam Alaikum. This is your host Aqeel Shah, and we are back with our business series workshop webinar number 7. Tonight, our topic is selling more, and we have our experts with us. Our co-host Maria will be introducing them. Over to you, Maria.
Okay, thank you, Aqeel. Salam, thank you, and welcome to all our participants and guests who will be listening to these recorded workshops around the world. Now, the purpose of these series of Survive and Thrive business workshops is to raise one's abilities through education to be able to handle any situation in life. Through these valuable tips and tools that these industry experts are providing, one can help their business, themselves, their family, and loved ones to flourish and prosper. So I encourage all participants to forward their questions to the chat box. And for those who will be listening to our recorded business series on social media, please forward your questions to educationsuccessinfo@gmail.com. So for this evening, our topic is all about selling more. So get your pens and your papers ready. Take down some very simple educational tips. Let's get started with our first industry expert. To talk about this is Mr. Oisín Grogan, also known as the 200 million business coach. He's an entrepreneur, international consultant, and speaker. Oisín knows what it's like to have debts, lack of sales, and difficult staff. All the challenges that you are facing right now as a business owner, he has personally experienced. And more importantly, all of these difficulties he has managed to conquer. Oisín founded his company, Executive Success, in 2008. And since then, he has consulted businesses in over 50 industries, ranging from startups to public companies with turnovers in the hundreds of millions, and has been able to grow and streamline all types of businesses. Let us give a very warm welcome to Oisín Grogan.
Hi, thank you very much, Maria, and everyone else. Nice to see you all, coming from sunny Sydney. All right, great. Well, let's get into it. So we're going to be looking at selling tonight, but both of us, Peter and I, are going to be looking at it from a probably different angle. You know, there's things that undercut sales. Well, let's start. See what happens. So my presentation tonight is called "Sell is not a dirty word." Sales is not a dirty word. You start saying sales, you know, and people start getting like, oh, you know, and all sorts of things, you know, the devil or you know, some dirty subject that we should all just, you know, anyway, you get the idea, right? There's all these weird reactions and they get in the way of things. All right, we had an intro, we've got the pen and paper ready. Okay, so let's start with what is selling. If we're gonna have a problem with something, maybe we should work out what it is, or if we're gonna get good at something, maybe we should work out what it is. So this is unfortunately what people think of too often when we think of sales. Used car salesmen, brilliantly silver-tongued liars. I'm sure there's different names in different cultures, right? Trust me, baby. So one of the myths is that selling is actually a bad thing, dirty subject. Like, yeah, then we get all this sort of stuff. I like this one. Oil leak, that's just sweat from all the horsepower, you know? I actually was sold a car by a used car salesman like 20 years ago, and the air conditioning didn't work. And I'm like, what's going on there? And he goes, oh yeah, anyway, he just lied to me. Basically, I was too you know, inexperienced with cars to even know what was wrong with it. But anyway, I found out later the heating wasn't connected, right? So it was the air conditioning worked, the heating didn't work. Anyway, so another myth, you have to be fake to sell. Now, if you're sitting on these ideas, we're going to have to just clean them out. I just want you to look for yourself, think for yourself before you decide that these are all true. You have to be fake to sell. All right, some people are fake. This is true. But is everyone fake? No, I don't think so. Selling is about lying. Well, yes, people can lie. Salespeople can lie. But last time I checked, other people lie too. You may have even lied once or two. I have. So yeah, that's right. So yeah, I think we've probably all lied once or twice, right? Okay. So maybe it's not about lying. People lie. Let's just separate. Salespeople are sleazy. Well, some are. Some aren't. So the best salespeople are, number one, themselves. This is a super crucial point. You can go back to the earlier seminars we've done. Both Peter and I have referred to a thing that we're talking about affinity, reality, and communication. The best version of you is you. There's, that's the problem with when people try to be something they're not. It gets weird. It gets unreal. You could even say it gets fake. You see? So the best version of you is you. So if you're going to sell most effectively, whether you're a salesperson or not, you need to be able to be yourself. So if you like flowery shirts, wear flowery shirts, right? I like flowery shirts. A while ago, I got sick of white shirts. Simple as that. My wife said, that's a boring shirt. Why do you keep buying boring shirts, right? I went, okay then, darling. I'm not buying any more boring shirts, right? And I'd also had enough of it. I got sick of it. It's like, oh, why does everyone have to have a white shirt, right? Anyway, so I've got one white shirt now and the rest are all like this. So why? Because I like it. Simple as that. But if you like white shirts, wear white shirts. You don't have to do anything else. And, a lot of people think of salespeople as, also the tie and all that sort of thing. Just be genuine. So be yourself, first rule. Let's look at what else. And the best and most long-term salespeople are honest. You'll see why. So let's look at the definition of sales. It's the act of selling or attempting to sell something. Oh, that's nice. Good. Let's solve that. So let's look at the definition of sell now. So that means to give or hand over something in exchange for money. That doesn't sound so bad, does it? To give or hand over something in exchange for money. So how did you feel about being sold something at the supermarket in the last week or so? You needed something like food, and then someone gave it to you and then asked for money. So the checkout chick or the checkout bloke sold you something. That was all right, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, cool. Or you want to go and buy a watch or something, or a phone or whatever, or some ear thingies or a shirt. Well, that's all selling. That was pretty good. Aqeel there's wearing a pretty groovy sort of colorful t-shirt. I mean, someone sold him that at some point. I like that. I like it. That's very colorful. So, someone sold him that. Was that all right, mate? Was that a good transaction? Anyway, you get my point. Sales is good. Sales actually permits an exchange. And this is, let's have a look at it. It's this simple. The definition of sales is literally, you've got two parties, and they could be companies as well, right? So it can be a company selling to a company, but there's always people involved. Anyway, and then someone gives something like a product or a service, and someone gives money, plus maybe other things, but money's involved. Money and a service goes that way, or a product. Okay, so that's sales. That sounds pretty good. All right. So to give or hand over something in exchange for money. All right, sales, beautiful. Now, I just want to point out the importance of salespeople and selling. They create an exchange, and this is super crucial in life. It's all about exchange, right? Exchange of value. If you've got a company like, you have cars, or you do this or that or whatever, it doesn't really matter. You've got a restaurant. Without that exchange, nothing happens. No one survives. So selling is actually crucial to industry and to success and to people's survival. So let's look at it from that point of view. Let's look at the word origin here. Old Norse, to give up, sell. Early use included the meaning give, hand something over voluntarily in response to a request. That's so simple. Can I have something, please? And someone gives it to you. That's selling. There you go. And here's another part of the origin of the word. Old English, learn early that the word looks like sell usually means give. So in Old English, give is actually commonly associated with it. So selling is about giving, and the best salespeople help and give, and the best businesses help and give. And if you, Peter, I believe, is going to talk about, he's going to talk about work and purpose and things like this. See, purpose, help, give, exchange. That's what makes money. You see, that's how you can sell and always feel good about it. Look at yourself in the mirror and actually feel good about yourself. So let's look at this subject next of help. So why are we selling? Well, most people will say money, right? And that is definitely part of it. It's hard to keep helping people or keep exchanging or keep delivering products or services if you don't have any money. It's just a fact of the thing. And I just put this in here because I like that image and ready, and I like doing this because you go down in flames if you don't have money. So it's a good thing to have money in exchange. But selling is actually just helping. Simple as that. If you look at it like that, because products and services that your business has help someone. Does that make sense? Yeah, everyone tracking? Yeah, cool. Let's look. Yeah, so let's look at the definition of help, and then I'll wrap up and hand over to Peter. So let's just work this over. This is super crucial to selling and success in general. Help. 1, make it easier or possible for someone to do something by offering them one's services or resources. Wow. Okay, so you could help your friend. You might have a car, you might have a ute, and he's moving house. So you help them you make it easier for them to move house. Someone might have a body and they might need to get from Manly to Sydney City, and someone called Uber comes along and helps move the body from A to B. All right, that's just help. That's, you know, if you say it's this, money is bad. No. Well, I think that's pretty useful, isn't it? See? So anything which makes it easier or possible for someone to do something is help. That sounds cool. Hopefully you help your wife. Hopefully you help your husband. So when we get into this thing called, you know, when you hear about sales, you hear this selling, he's so good, he could sell ice to Eskimos. I just go, how stupid is that? Because if someone's got ice already, why would you sell them ice? Unless they want it. Like if the Eskimo wants a refrigerator because, I don't know, it's getting a bit warm. Well, now you could sell him a refrigerator, fair enough. But selling people things they don't need or don't help them is stupid. And you certainly won't be able to sell for a long time if you do that, nor will you be able to look in the mirror. One point I do want to make. There's 2 aspects to selling here when we look at help. There's what people need, and then there's what they want. They're 2 different things. So you don't need a bowl of ice cream, right? You're not going to die without a bowl of ice cream, but you might want one because it's tasty, right? But you do need water, or you do need food, or you do need shelter probably, right? So if you just go on the idea that I'm only willing to sell things that people absolutely need, that's a very small bunch of things. So if people want, you know, a colorful shirt, or they want a delicious bowl of ice cream, well, and you've got it, great. Still a form of help. Might make their life a little better. All right, so let's move on. But you'll stop selling, or you'll start feeling selling is a dirty subject when you start selling people things they don't want or they don't need, or lying about it, things like that. All right, here we go. So here's another definition of help: to improve a situation or problem, be of benefit to. Wow, that sounds pretty cool too. So, you know, many of us here actually are volunteers. Peter and I are volunteering. We're not getting paid for this. We're just doing this to benefit people. Is it? There's nothing else. You know, we're not pitching anything. Aqeel helps people. Maria helps people. And we've all just done volunteer stuff because we like helping people. It's part of having a full and successful and happy life, actually. So there you go, help. And here's another definition out of the 1913 Webster's: to provide with strength or means for the successful performance of any action or the attainment of any object. An object there means like a goal or something you're trying to achieve. So helping someone attain a goal or getting someone closer to a goal is help. To aid, to assist. How cool is that? So if you are helping someone through giving them a service or a product, that might be called sales, this is actually a beautiful thing. All right. And I think here's the last one. This is out of the 1800s now. To aid, to assist, to lend strength or means towards effecting a purpose. How cool is this? So someone's trying to get something done and you strengthen that, or you help them, or you push it forward, or you assist with it. That's help. So anything that would do that involved taking money and giving them something to do that would be help, and that would be absolutely awesome. So here's some example sentences: to help a man in his work, to help another in raising a building, to help one pay off their debts, to help the memory or the understanding. There's courses about that. There's a guy online, I forget his name, but he just sells people how to have a better memory. People give him money because they find that helpful. Webster's Dictionary, 1828. All right, so here's a quote from Mr. Hubbard. This is really cool. You look up and down any given street and just spot things that are helping people, and you'll lose count in an awful hurry. It's just too many. Now, basically, as long as things help you and you help things and you know who is doing what, you're all right. See, when help is so important that when it gets messed up, right? So you have to be able to receive help, right? Ever tried to help someone and they wouldn't receive it? Like a friend, maybe it's, yeah, and they're like, ugh. See how they can't get ahead now, because help is about bringing about a purpose or an objective or assisting or surviving. Okay, so that's when you get messed up and help, your ability to succeed drops on anything. Happens in relationships. A great relationship is where a husband and wife or a girlfriend, boyfriend can assist each other, and it flows backwards and forwards somewhat. It might be different, right? There's different setups. But the moment one can't receive help anymore, it starts to mess up the relationship. Like he's got a problem and he won't accept her help, or vice versa. So this is so crucial. It's also hard to deal with clients who won't accept help. It's best sometimes to let them go. Okay. All right. You can think of examples, I'm sure. All right. So basically, as long as things help you and you help things and you know who's doing what, you're all right. And it's when you lose sight of who is helping who, when you start refusing help, when you start refusing to give help, when you start refusing to get help, that things start going wrong. When you start figuring out there's something awfully wrong with this thing called help, and I'd better resist it, that's when the trouble starts, right? So L. Ron Hubbard. So let's play a little game. Let's play a game. All right. Let's do what he said. He said, look down a street and list off the things that are helping. So let's just play a game here. Here's a street. I've got a whole bunch. I've got a selection from around the world, right? So here's a street. Who wants to suggest something that's helping here? Well, I can list off a few. We've got some chats here. Let me just check that while people are looking. Just list them off to yourself. Yeah, the bench, the waste bin, right? See, the waste bin. Yep. How does it help? It takes the rubbish, so you don't have to carry it. Keeps things clean. That's good. The signboards, yes, it helps you know if you want to go in or not. You know, so it certainly helps the chicks, right? Your missus is going along and she sees the dress store. She knows exactly where to go. You know, trees for shade. Yep, good. All right, you get the idea. Okay, good. So you see, there's a lot of things helping. Even this paving, right? It's not dirt, so it helps keep it nice and clean and look nice. You know, it's in a flat surface. We could go on for hours working out how everything in this picture helps, right? It's really interesting. The world is not as twisted as you think when you start looking at it like this. There's a lot of help going on. All right, so now let's look at another one very quickly, just look at some. So we've got some trucks here. What else is helping? Trucks, that's carrying something. We've got a sign here that probably is helping in some way, right? Buildings, trees. Yeah, you get the idea. Traffic lights there, that's a good one. I didn't think of that. Yeah, because you could say, traffic lights, they just stop me. They don't help. You know, nah, traffic lights actually help someone go, you know, get by the other way. They help you not crash into them, maybe. All right, you get the idea. And then let's move on. Here's another one from somewhere kind of European-ish looking, I think. All right. Well, look, we got tables and chairs. We got a cafe. I wonder how that helps people. A bag. Yes, someone said a bag. Okay, cool. Look at that cool bag. That helps keep all the credit cards in there for the shopping. Anyway, all right, good. Plants. We got even this little bench here. You get the idea. All right, let's have a look at this one. There's a random photo. Oh, there's a bike. I reckon that might be helping. Okay, you get the idea. All right, good. And even these lines here, this zebra crossing, that helps. Yeah, good, Aqeel. Yeah, I beat you to it, but there you go. Very good. All right, and so on. You get these trees, that path, that little canal. Kind of looks a bit Japanese, doesn't it, Peter?
I walked along that path.
No joke.
Yes.
Where is it?
It's in Kyoto. It's the Poet's Walk.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, I mean, I love the look of that trees. I haven't been there, but that's amazing. And look at this. This is the last one. How cool is this?
Oh, wow.
What a cool. I mean, it's just helpful and it's aesthetic, isn't it? I mean, just look at that and you're cool. How cool is that? So that kind of brings some pleasure to your life. All right. So you get the idea. So to wrap it up, just look at how do you help? So your clients have a purpose, whatever they are. And how does your product or service assist? Just quickly list it off. How do you help them? How does your product or service aid or benefit them with their purposes, with their life? Yeah, just list them off real quick, because I've gone on too long. So I got carried away with all my pictures. Good. How does it make things easier for them? How does your product or service make things easier? Cool. Excellent. Very good. So that's definitely worth taking some money for, isn't it? That's not so dirty. That just sounds sensible. All right. How does it solve a problem? How does it solve someone's problem, your product or service? Very nice. I see some nods, so I see you getting it. What does it improve? Yeah, good. Doesn't have to be much. I mean, you know, I used to clean toilets, as you know, and someone comes in after, the weekend, sees the toilets are clean, and it just improves their life, right? Because they didn't have to do it. So there you go. All right. And how does it aid them? You get the idea. All right. So we'll miss that today. And here's the last quote I'm going to end off on from Mr. Hubbard. Help one another. It is the formula for life that cannot fail. There you go. All right. That's all from me. Hopefully that helps you with your selling.
Very good.
Thank you, Oisín. That was wonderful and the best chord in the end. Thank you for that. And now we move on to our second expert. Over to you, Maria.
Okay, our second industry expert, continuing on from Oisín's selling more topic, is Mr. Peter Simpson. He founded his management consulting company, Organisation Technology, in 1985. He uses statistical methods and analysis of production processes and their management, which has saved millions of dollars. Now, some of Mr. Simpson's clients are Kodak Australia, Coca-Cola Amatil, and Bechtel Mining, with its subsidiary company in Queensland with over 3,500 staff. Over his long career, Peter has helped small to medium-sized companies, saved thousands of jobs, delivered seminars and workshops to tens of thousands of individuals, and created $2 billion of savings and increased income for his clients all around the world. I'd like to welcome Mr. Peter Simpson.
Thank you, Maria. Okay, I'm going to use a PowerPoint as usual, and I'm going to share my screen. This one. Oh, sorry, this one. There we go. Okay. So you should all see a nice PowerPoint. So I'm going to be talking about work and purpose. And this flows on perfectly from some of the points that Oisín was talking about. And the key point really is that when you're selling yourself. And if you have a clear purpose, you can put a name to that. Now, as usual, all of this comes from the works of Mr. Hubbard. If only we didn't have to work, how many delightful things we could do. If only we had some other ways of getting money. Travel, vacations, new clothes, what a host of things would be ours if we didn't have to work. You hear this. It is almost that our society teaches us that the strain of work is the root of our unhappiness. We hear unions and welfare states, as well as individuals, demanding a reduction of work. Yet being denied the ability to work, as many of us have recently experienced, is very disheartening. So on the one hand, we're taught that work is bad, work is hard, work is difficult. And by the way, the word labour, another word for work, comes from a Latin word meaning pain. It goes back that far. Work is pain. And of course, same word is used for a woman in labour. It's pain. But if we don't have it, we're very unhappy. Someone invented a difference between work and play. Play is seen as interesting. Work is seen as hard and necessary, and therefore not interesting. Even when we like our work, other people tell us it is better to relax, not work hard, make easy money, and retire. We can start to believe it. So let's redefine work and play. Play should be called work without purpose. It could also be called activity without a purpose. That would make work defined as activity with a purpose. So if you're working, you're doing something that has a purpose. And as we'll see a little bit further, it's got a purpose, but sometimes, very often, that purpose has never been defined. It's never been given words. Just to have something to do and a reason to do it exerts a control over life itself. If you have no purpose, you lack the first thing necessary to make sense of your life. Purpose is the beginning point for having a good life. In our civilization, the stable datum, that means like the stable point to the confusion of existence, is work. And the stable datum of work is purpose. In other words, why am I doing this? There has to be a reason. There has to be a purpose, and that answers that question, why? So this all depends, however, upon the organisation itself having a purpose. And that, I'm afraid, is up to its managers. So a worker can't have a purpose very clearly unless the organisation itself has a purpose. So if you have a company, you're a business owner, you have an obligation to yourself and to all your employees to define the purpose of the organisation. Only in that way can the workers have a purpose that aligns with the company's purpose. Research conducted by Jim Collins and Jerry Porras in Built to Last, a very popular book. Organisations driven by purpose outperformed the general market 15-1. In other words, their growth, their share price, their profits, whatever, were 15 times better on average than companies that didn't have a clear purpose. And compared to very, very similar companies doing the same thing, they outperformed them 6 times. So if you want sales, you want growth, it's vital to have a well-defined purpose, and it can make you do 15 times better than companies that don't have one. There's a big difference. So here's some examples of companies that examples of purposes that drive successful companies. You've probably heard of these. Disney, fantastically successful company, even today. And the purpose was defined by Walt Disney right back in its very beginnings. And it is to use our imagination to bring happiness to millions. From Disneylands to the movies to the merchandise, there's a lot of happy times to be had. I remember when I took my wife to Disneyland in Los Angeles, and we went on a ride, and it was called it's a something, I can't remember, it's a something world after all is what they're singing. And we saw this on Disneyland when we were little kids on TV. And I said, you have to go in here. She says, oh, that looks pretty daggy, that ride. That looks pretty rotten. Because it hadn't changed since Disneyland was first built. We got in there, and after a while, she's singing along. There's tears in her eyes. She was like 6 years old again. Now, anybody that can achieve that has one heck of a purpose. It's magical. BMW. Sales of BMW have been just going up like a rocket. Their biggest market is China. Their biggest factory is now in China. There were no BMWs really at all in China as recently as 10 years ago. Huge growth. And there's their purpose. And it's been their purpose since 1936. And it is to provide sheer driving pleasure. I've had a few of them, and they are fun to drive. You just like them, and I wish I'd never sold my BMWs. I miss them. Microsoft, to help people and businesses around the world to realize their full potential. Well, heck, that's like a purpose to help people with their purpose, isn't it? And hasn't really been a bad purpose for Microsoft. It's kind of done okay. They're everywhere. Samsung, inspire the world, create the future. Samsung, Korean, was nowhere. Japan were ruling the world in electronics. Samsung arrived, and now they're pretty well dominant. A clear purpose. This is one you may not know. It's very big in America, Canada, UK. They have 440 stores, and were just not so long ago bought by Amazon for many billions of dollars. And they started out with a purpose. The purpose was formed before there was even a company. A group of people wanted to improve the eating habits of people, make them healthier. So the business started on a purpose, which was to provide choices for nurturing the body, the community, and the planet. We want to change the way the world eats. Well, there's a heck of a purpose. And they've done very well. And this man, Stephen Jobs of Apple. And the purpose, again, from the very beginning, his personal purpose and the purpose of Apple, to make a contribution to the world by making tools for the mind that can advance humankind. And I'm going to play for you now a very short video where he talks about exactly this.
People say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing, and it's totally true. And the reason is because it's so hard that if you don't, any rational person would give up. It's really hard, and you have to do it over a sustained period of time. So if you don't love it, if you're not having fun doing it, you don't really love it, you're going to give up. And that's what happens to most people, actually. If you really look at the ones that ended up, being successful, unquote, in the eyes of society, and the ones that didn't, oftentimes it's the ones that are successful loved what they did so they could persevere when it got really tough. And the ones that didn't love it quit because they're sane, right? Who would want to put up with this stuff if you don't love it? So it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of worrying constantly. And if you don't love it, you're going to fail. So you got to love it. You got to have passion. And I think that's the high order bit. The second thing is you've got to be a really good talent scout, because no matter how smart you are, you need a team of great people, and you've got to figure out how to size people up fairly quickly, make decisions without knowing people too well, and hire them, and see how you do and refine your intuition, and be able to help build an organization that can eventually just build itself, because you need great people around you. People say,
Oops. So, and back to Mr. Hubbard. People have to have a purpose. They have to have reasons why. Now, with a purpose, if you love what you're doing, you love your product, you know it's wonderful, you desperately want people to have it because it is great, selling is simple. You don't even know you're selling. You think you're just talking to people. You want to help them. You love it. It's easy. You can see just before Stephen Jobs, he's obviously passionate about his products. I don't know if you ever saw him when he was alive talking about them. He made them just seem completely wonderful. Walt Disney was the same. He got investors to pour money into his projects, and nobody knew how he managed to do it. He just inspired them. And they threw money at things that had never been done before. So if you want to sell, you need to have a purpose. You need to be passionate about it. You need to make sure that that's what you deliver it. And selling and business growth just follows. That's really all I wanted to say, very short. But if you liked what I was talking about, you can always contact me. I've got lots more. I'd love to hear from you. I'm passionate about what I do. I'd like to share it with more people. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Peter. That was really wonderful, and we got to know some information about techniques. And now, Maria would like to ask a few questions. Over to you, Maria.
Okay. I've got a couple of questions. This one is for Oisín. I don't really want to be a salesperson, but I have to sell. What can I do?
Okay, well, that's an interesting one. I think we've sort of covered it. Peter just went over it very nicely. But if you know what you're doing and you're trying to go somewhere, you don't have to call it selling. You just help people. If you really are behind a project, say even a community project, and you just want to tell people about it because you love it, would you call that selling? No, you wouldn't. You'd just call it someone, sharing and communicating about something they love. But it is selling if you get them to buy into it or agree to it or come and be part of it. So really you just need to find something that you believe in. If you don't believe in stuff, don't do it. I don't. If I'm involved in a project or a business and it just doesn't fit with my purpose, or I don't feel it's actually helping people the way I want to help, I stop doing it. And then I preserve my integrity and I can keep being excited about whatever I'm doing. So I think that's the key thing. Really have something you want to do, and then you find other people and help them with what they're trying to do. And you'll find selling is effortless and natural.
Beautiful. Okay, thanks, Oisín. Now, I've got a question here for Peter.
Oh, yes.
Now, don't people really just work for money? Isn't that what we live for, Peter?
Well, I hear that one all the time. Yes, thank you for all of those wonderful words, Mr. Simpson, about purpose and so on. I've heard that, but, really, unless you're making money, there's no point. Well, that's kind of true. but that comes second. You know, first comes what you're doing for others, what you're sending out into the world. And if it's a good product, you make sure it's delivered properly, that the money comes. Those who work only for money eventually wind up very unhappy, believe me.
Okay, thank you, Peter. I've got another one for you, Peter.
Oh,
now,
yes.
you've given incredible examples of big companies who have extraordinarily successful purposes. Now, what kind of grand purpose would small businesses have?
What kind of grand purpose? They may not have a grand purpose. It may be a very small purpose, but it can be a very strong purpose. It doesn't have to be huge. You know, let's take a restaurant. What do you want your clients to have? I've eaten in a great many restaurants. I've traveled all over the world and eaten many places, and you can tell instantly how the person that owns that restaurant thinks. Do they really want you to enjoy yourself when you're there? They want you to eat fantastic food. And if that's what they're working on, that's a wonderful purpose. It's a fantastic purpose. And it's fascinating when you step into such a place, you feel welcome. Even before you've met anybody, you just feel like you want to be there. It emanates a purpose. If it's if it's a car repair business, do you put great care and attention into what you do? Do you want to make sure that everything that you do is right and correct? You want people to be happy. You want the car to not break down again. This is a fine purpose. It may not be a grand purpose to take over the world with whatever, but that's still a purpose, and that such a company will do very well.
Wonderful, Peter. Okay, that sounds fantastic. Now I'm just going to go to the chat, and I've got a question from one of our participants, Jan, and she says, if you increase your help flows, then this increases the outflows, which can help with inflow. So what if you have lots of goals? Must you limit this to just one? And this is for Oisín.
Okay, let me just make sure I understand the question. So that sounds fine. You're helping, which is an outbound thing, and then you get things back. So what was the last part?
Okay, so what if you have lots of goals? Must you limit this to just one goal?
Oh, okay. It's a bit hard to answer without knowing the whole situation, but no. I mean, there's many ways you can live and survive, but what will come into play is some sort of strategy. That's how I look at it anyway. Is you've got a certain amount of resources in your life, right? You've got time, you've got a certain amount of money, you've got staff, you've got who you know, there's what you know, there's many things, right? So whenever I look at this myself, a new venture, or I look at the clients, it's like we lay all of this out. Go, what would be the smartest way to actually do this? So rather than going through 6 things at once, maybe we should do these 2 things first because they generate more time, and and so then I can do these other things. So that's often where it just gets missed. There's no sort of bridging plan to just get to that level of awesomeness where you can do everything you want to do. So that's normally what's missing in my experience. So for example, I'm helping a client right now with exactly this thing, and they've got all these humanitarian goals, and they're all to help, and they're amazing. But got these bunch of businesses, and he's kind of been stuck in them for 20 years. So obviously we should spend more of our time getting him unstuck. So, and he does starts on them. It's a good thing to actually start on these newer things, but it's a limited time. And meanwhile, the main focus for the last 6 to 9 months has been getting him out of these things. And then he's like got all the time in the world. So that's sort of one way I've applied that. But it's good to keep going. It's good to keep working on it. Anyway, so you actually are making progress, not just working because you have to, because you got stuck into something. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah. I'd like to add something to that if I can.
Go for it.
Peter.
And this is like a completely different tack to what you talk, Oisín, but a person has many goals. They have many purposes. But there is really a basic purpose that a person has, and it kind of defines the person. You meet different people and they kind of have a certain personality, a certain thing about them. And what underlies that is really a basic purpose. And then there can be many other purposes, but so long as those other purposes fall with the basic purpose and align with that, everything's fine. But occasionally people have purposes which are crossing one another. And this is where a lot of problems come from. So if it's all worked out and put down on paper and laid out as plans and so on, as Oisín was talking, that takes care of that. But yes, a person do have many purposes.
Yes, great point. I forgot that, Peter, because everything I do, every business I do, every venture I take on has to align with my basic purpose. If it doesn't, I don't do it, because otherwise I am getting inefficient, right? Instead of running that direction, I'm running that. It's hard. It's harder.
Very
so
good.
Great point.
Your hand movements and gesticulations put great understanding to the point I was trying to make, Oisín. Love it.
Very good. Well, I've learned this over the years, like you're going this way and then you get this new shiny object, this new venture, and that goes that way, right? So you're like, oh, I'll make it work, you sell yourself. And then, after you've gone down this path for 6 months, you realize you're not even on this path anymore. So we've got to go back over there, so you learn, it's like, I don't suffer from shiny object syndrome so much anymore.
Very, very good.
Okay, I've got one more question for either of the experts. What if someone doesn't want to help anymore and they've lost their purpose, gentlemen? How could you help them?
Woo!
That's a lovely question. I've probably spent the last 35 years helping people find lost purposes. It takes a bit of doing sometimes, and other times it's so much right in front of their face. They look at it every day and they just don't see it. But there are ways to do it. That's pretty much been my specialty for 35 years. And when people discover a lost purpose, I usually have to reach for the box of Kleenex. There's a lot of emotions can occur at that point in time. It's a beautiful thing to do, but yes, it can be recovered, but that's a little bit outside, a 1 minute answer.
Yeah, I can add to that. That's magnificent, that point. But just on the help is sometimes people are going, what's the meaning of life, and and they don't have someone like Peter just sitting there to take them through that with the tissues and whatnot. So one thing that can be very, very helpful is choose something is good, that's out there, not in your head, like that's good. Yeah, I'd like to help those people, and that would be a worthwhile activity. And start walking, start moving in that direction. And the analogy that I don't know if you guys have been to Denver. Anyone here been to Denver? You fly into Denver.
Yes.
This amazing plane, right? But all a plane, like flat plane. When I was there, it was all snow, and there's mountains all surrounding it. I can probably this might help if I just put it on the whiteboard. But this often will get people out of a pickle when they don't know what to do or who to help or what does it all mean anymore. So I kind of consider it, you're in the middle of Denver, you're in the center of this big flat plain of snow, and all around you there's mountains. It seems like it. You look everywhere you look, there's a mountain around you. It's quite amazing place actually. Anyway, so you get the idea. So if you were to say that a purpose or our goals would be a specific mountain or a specific place we're trying to arrive at, well, you might not know exactly because you don't have Peter or someone to help you with that, but you could just start going in the general direction. And when you get closer to that mountain, you go, oh, you know what? It's not that. It's kind of this one because you're closer. So you can slightly correct course and start living in that direction. But as long as it's, help and it's worthwhile and it's out there, then you get a bit closer down the line. You go, oh, you know what? It's actually this one. Beautiful. Boom. So there's tremendous sanity in just finding people to help and assist and just get going with something. You learn a lot in the process and as you get closer. So there you go.
Yes, Oisín, any purpose is better than no purpose. Any
Exactly.
help is better than no help. Doing something is better than doing nothing.
Amen. Exactly.
It.
Absolutely. Thank you both so much for your valuable information tonight. Aqeel, would you like to ask some questions to the industry experts?
Nothing tonight. It was well explained already, Maria. Thank you.
Okay, that's fantastic. So if any of the participants and listeners would like the industry experts to talk about a specific area of business and of life, please email us at educationsuccessinfo@gmail.com and we can organise workshops on specific topics. Now we're going to be wrapping it up for tonight. Our next workshop will be next Wednesday, the 25th of November at 7:15. And this workshop is again recorded and will go across social media. So please join us. We hope that you have been enlightened, enriched, empowered, and able to help people around you. So I'll pass you back to Aqeel.
Thank you, Maria. Already well explained. These videos will be available on social media, and you can train and coach, use for train and coaching purpose, and share it with everyone. And for all your queries, please refer an email to educationsuccessinfo@gmail.com. Thank you. That's all for tonight, and you have a great night. Me too.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Good night.